Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Yooka-Laylee, the sort of spiritual successor to the Banjo-Kazooie games. Sorta, kinda, made by a lot of the same people and made in the style of it, more or less. It's a 3D collectathon platformer. Not that much to see out in the menu. We do have our options though, which we will go and have a look at. We've got sound sliders, which is fine. We've even got an option for short speech, which is interesting, and we'll get into what that is later. You can change some of the camera settings, including whether the camera will reset behind you automatically as you move. I recommend keeping it on manual, but that does also bring up its own problems. It's a bit annoying. You'll only be able to see it once we get into the game. And you can change whether or not crouching and rolling on the ZL and ZR buttons is a toggle, which I did not mean to turn on there, so let's just turn that back off. And of course you can see your achievements and your overall stats, nothing particularly out of the ordinary. So we do have a minigame coin. I do plan on using that during the video, so we're going to go do that instead of playing one of the arcade games here. And as you can see, I've got about 3.5 hours, which is a fair amount, I suppose. We'll just hop straight into the game. Unfortunately, the loading times aren't fantastic. They're definitely more of a put your controller down and just wait for them to load up. Especially when you're going into one of the bigger levels. We're talking a good 15 to 20 seconds here. Alright, so here we are. This is the hub world of the game, which is Ivory Towers. I just realized, Hivory Towers, I should say. And the game was surprisingly dark there, but yeah, if you couldn't tell just by looking at it, it is definitely a 3D collectathon platformer. And what do you collect in this 3D collectathon platformer? Pages. This is a pagey. It is a game where basically, these two are basically Banjo and Kazooie. Like, they don't really have that much of a personality of their own. Yooka, who is the lizard, is a very friendly sort of, he wants to help people sort of character, but not particularly overly dramatic about it. And then you've got Laylee, who's a smart talking wisecracker, more or less. So they are pretty much exactly the same characters as they are in Banjo-Kazooie, more or less. There we go. That is a really annoying move. I don't know why it's such a pain in the ass to work with, but yeah. Basically, the idea is you gotta try and find all the pages of your book that was stolen from you from Capital B. And Capital B is also trying to make it so that he has control over the entirety of the book market, so he can make money off of it. Bit of a weird plot. I mean, in comparison to what? Banjo-Kazooie, where Gruntilda was trying to steal the youth from Banjo's sister, and then there was Banjo-Tooie, where she literally had a gigantic laser that could make everybody super old once it charged enough energy. In this game, it seems not really that much of a problem to deal with, I gotta say. And I gotta admit, half the characters in this game, not that memorable at all. Especially Capital B. Capital B doesn't have any interesting lines. He doesn't have an interesting motivation. I mean, Gruntilda, an old cackling witch who wanted to look young again. That's a good motivation. Capital B, he wants to make money in a world that doesn't seem to have any sort of currency whatsoever. Seriously, you've got quills in this game, but they aren't even referenced, like, in the actual plot. Hello, Trouser. We don't need to talk to him. Right. We need to come back here and put the stealth on again. If I can just remember what button combination does it, because there's a lot of buttons in this game. But yes, it's a bit weird that in this game, it does have quills, which do count as, like, a currency for learning moves. But for whatever reason, they're not actually mentioned that much in the plot. So you've got enemies to fight, you've got an attack to beat them up with, you do also have a ground pound. Not a particularly great line from him there, I must say. And you've also got a couple of other moves to work with as well. Like, you have a tongue that you can lash out with, and it does things like eat projectiles, take on the properties of certain items, and, well, yeah, eat butterflies for health. And you can also just run into them to get your power meter filled up. And your power meter is basically just a meter for certain things. Like, you've already seen it being used for the stealth stuff. And here you've also got it for the roll, which is your moving fast move. And I gotta admit, I don't like this power meter just because it seems kind of unnecessary, especially in certain areas. Like, for whatever reason, the only time I've seen the roll being useful in, like, its timed perspective is, like, one early game puzzle. I admit I haven't played very much, but I've played a fair bit. So, we're just gonna wander straight into the 4th world. Notably, this game's only got 5 worlds. It also replaces, like, unlocking extra worlds with the ability to expand previous ones. And I must admit, for the sort of 3D platformer where 11 pages, that's a lot of pages. As you can see, just a wise talk. Laylee, the bat, is basically Kazooie. But yeah, it just kind of annoys me that they feel the need to expand previous worlds instead of doing something like, you know, having certain puzzles and stuff be restricted by moves you get in the later levels. Which they actually kind of do in this game. Not too much, but they do it. It is a thing that they do. So what we're going to do is we're going to wander around Capital Cashino for a bit, try and find a few pages, and then I'll take you back and expand a world, and we can see what an expanded world looks like. But we just gotta wait for the actual game to load first, because this game does take a long time to load. Capital Cashino. Alright then. What's the bet? I can't even walk through the front. Yep, I actually gotta use the stealth power up for this, which is surprisingly annoying because it makes it so that you need to get certain moves before you can come into certain levels, but like, you saw how I had to get through that gate at the very beginning by using the stealth, so why does that even need to be there in the first place? But anyway, let's go have a little bit of a look around first, shall we? Right, so I have to go get tokens in the casino games, apparently. That makes some sort of sense, I suppose. So, yeah. What was it that I was saying? Yeah, I was talking about how it's just a bit weird that the game's levels are just designed ever so... The hub world is designed ever so strangely. It doesn't feel like a proper hub world, too, which is all the stranger. A thief, huh? Right, I guess I need to be able to break through that glass. Which I can't do yet, so we'll just keep looking around for a bit, because this is basically how all the levels go. You run into situations like that after wandering through what feels like a gigantic empty world, because a lot of these levels are really weirdly designed in that they've got challenges in small areas with massive space between all of them, and this level seems to signify it most of all, just because it... Right, I'm gonna have to die for this one. I do have the ability to walk around underwater, though, which is a weird ability to have in a game like this, but whatever, I'll take it. Just trying not to touch the bloody jellyfish there. Those things are annoying. And I'm collecting the quills, which are the game's currency for moves, which we'll find eventually, because there's a guy running around in here. In pretty much every level, they'll give you moves for money, of course. He also gives you a free one every now and again out in the overworld, which is nice, but most of them you have to pay for. Alright, let's get out of this bubble and leave. So we got some tokens, which is nice, I suppose. But yeah, as I was saying, the levels are giant and they feel mostly empty, which is kind of disappointing, I gotta say. Alright, do I have to actually spin this thing? Oh wait, right, it's glowing, so I can use this on it. Pull it down. Guess I'm going for watermelons. Nope, I missed. Right, let's not do that again, because that was boring. So, yeah, as I was saying for like the third bloody time, it's just, the levels are all really big, even in their unexpanded forms. So, you just end up in this situation where you're just wandering across what feels like a great big load of nothing, looking for things to do, and then you find them, and then it turns out those things aren't particularly interesting anyway. They tend to repeat a lot of your typical set of things in this, like, oh, well, I could play this right now, but I'm not going to, because we need to do a little bit more exploring before I can justify that. Also, I need to try and find the guy who does the moves. Another character to talk to, I suppose. Right, I'm guessing that's related to the transforming stuff. You do have transforming in this game as well, but you do have to go and find a collectible before they actually let you transform. There's 4 major collectibles you can find in every level, and by 4 major ones, I'm not counting pages, obviously. There's the transform token, a token that'll increase your health, a token that'll increase your power meter, and something that'll let you play at Rextro's Arcade, which we've already passed. See, the levels are just giant and empty. And the worst part is, it feels this way at first. When you expand the levels, it gets slightly better about it, but at the same time, it's expanding the levels, so... Right, I guess I can't actually hit that switch yet. Trying to get as much of those as possible, but I can't. I'm mainly looking for the guy who'll give me my moves for this level, but he doesn't seem to be around. And my other problem with the levels is that they're surprisingly uncreative, too. They have themes, sure, but other than just, like, having the themes, they don't really do much in the way of... There's another one of the knights, but we can't talk to her just yet, because we're not a knight. They have these themes, sure, but they're just relatively uncreative outside of them. And it doesn't work as well as you might hope. Seriously, where is the bloody snake that wears the trousers? This is who I'm supposed to be looking for to get the moves. Usually he's around the start of the level, so maybe if I just make my way all the way around, it might help me find him. Oh yeah, there he is. bloody giant glowing arrow. I must have missed him the first time around. So we come here to Trousers, and we can buy some moves from him. I've already got a fair few. Let's see what we can get. Reptile Rush or Sonar Explosion. Well, considering that we have something that'll, considering that we have something that we can go do with Sonar Explosion, we might as well buy it first. Hold ZL and press X, okay. Right. Now let's go find that. There it is. Okay. Alright, it's a close range move, so I need to get about here. Will that do the trick? No, I guess I have to... How is this gonna work? That's how you're supposed to crack the glass, but... That's weird. It's actually really weird. Nope, that didn't crack it either. I'm so confused. Am I supposed to get up the top there? Let's see if I can find a way up onto whatever this is, and maybe I have to crack it from above. Because I want another one of those knights. Can't really do anything in there, can I? Can't do that until I find a plant with stuff for me to... Oh my god, I must have picked the absolute worst level to try and demonstrate this game with, because god, it's hard to find something that can actually be done around here. Jesus. The problem with expanding the levels is that originally when you come into a level, you'll find that it only has something along the lines of like 5 pages in it. But then when you expand them, they go up to something like 25 pages, which is honestly kind of retarded. Right, I'm guessing this is the ball up here that we need to guide down into the hole in order to get our Jiggy. And we're gonna have to do it on a time limit, because of course we are. Good luck to me. Did I just call it a Jiggy? I'm sure I did. The actual controls of the game aren't fantastic either. I mean, most of the stuff it gets right enough, I suppose. You've got moving around will usually work okay, and some of the moves are alright. But as you saw earlier on, as I was playing around in the game's lobby, hub world, whichever way you want to roll with it, I was having troubles with trying to lash onto stuff, and then there was rolling. Rolling is a much bigger pain in the ass in this game, mainly because it's actually surprisingly hard to control. There's a couple of things like it in this game that are surprisingly annoying to deal with. Not to mention the analog stick sometimes feels really inaccurate. Give me my prize, please. There's 5 tokens, which means I don't even have enough to get a page yet, damn it. Well, you'd think a casino level would be exciting, but it's just so damn dull. Alright, that would be the health extender of the level. There are a couple of other things I haven't gone into, like there's, what is there? There's tonics, which are things you unlock as you play through the game by, like, killing enemies, collecting quills, stuff like that. They give you little advantages, like being immune to fall damage, pointing out when you're close to a rare item, and doing other things like that. Right, I have to pull this, don't I? Let it go. That's a weird slot machine. I wonder what that's about. Right, here's another one of the... Oh, well, there's another one of the activities over there. You can see that blue ghost in the distance there. That's one of the activities you have to do. That's collect all 5 of them for a pagey. Then you've got this guy over here. This guy is... Kartos. Kartos is... obviously a reference to God of War, but they made him really old. And they make it so that he kind of references old games from time to time. The problem being... 150 gems, bloody hell. No, I don't need to know the controls. I know the controls. It's just fire on Y, jump on B, and control your speed with the analog stick. I'm not going to get this first try because I never... Yeah, I should have shot that barrel. Let's try that again, but this time not fuck up on the first jump. Although, Kartos' inclusion does bring me to another point that this game doesn't have in its favor, and that's its... Jesus Christ. That's its overwhelming tendency to reference the real world. Now, Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie, which are this game's predecessors, obviously, weren't not guilty of this. They certainly did it from time to... You know what, fuck it. I'm not going to be able to do it while I'm talking. They certainly aren't innocent of it themselves. But this game seems to want to drop a real-world reference in every few minutes. And it really starts to grate after a while, honestly. It's surprising just how annoying it is. Because they just have this really strange tendency of... Yeah, this looks like something that's going to be quite painful if I run into... Yep, had a feeling. Guessing I have to work my way over to that one with an annoying camera. Look at this shit. Not to mention I need to collect those bloody things there. Ow. Well, I have 10, so I get a pagey. That's nice. Yeah, let's not go for that, shall we? Are we supposed to get back up if you... Oh, yeah. There's something at the other end. Right. Ow. I didn't even get the token, okay. Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, the game references the real world constantly and it really starts to get on your nerves after a while. It's... Seriously, they do it a lot. Like, every second or third dialogue box will be a reference to the real world, and it just gets obnoxious after a while. Just, and I don't know why it's so obnoxious in this one. Maybe because it just happens so often, but I swear they happen constantly and they're very annoying to deal with. And of course, I have to deal with one of these bloody things, which means you just have to find the right way to catch it. 5 of them in each level, get a pagey if you collect them all. It's just... God, it's so dull. It's legitimately one of the dullest things that I've played in a while. And considering this is meant to be like a 3D platformer where there's supposed to be weird and wacky worlds to visit and neat characters to meet and stuff, it's just... It feels surprisingly uncreative for that specifically. Alright. Might as well play your game. Match the tiles. Might as well talk about the speech. So, you can hear in the background, well, some of the background anyway. Right, easy enough, I suppose. So you can hear in the background that the characters do have their own speech patterns, just like in the original games. And... Nope, that's not right. But yeah, you can hear in the background that they have speech patterns like the original games. And for some reason, they're more obnoxious in this game than they were back in the originals as well. I'm not entirely sure why this is a thing, but if I had to make a guess based on what I've heard, I would say that the game's speech is way more shrill than the original games. It definitely is a bit more of a, what's the word? Yeah, just a bit more harder on the ears than the original games. In the original games, they were actually surprisingly soft. And in this game, they're just really shrill. And the way they fixed it was instead of making it so that the game had just like quieter speech by default or just softer speech and not have it be so sharp on the ears, instead of fixing that, they made it so that you can make it so that they didn't last as long during the cutscenes, which is a weird decision to me. And it's like, it's not even a default thing, it's just something you pick in the options menu, which is what you saw. The, shortened speech option. Really not sure what they were going for there, but it just doesn't work as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pop out of this world because this is clearly one of the most boring fucking worlds I've ever had to explore in a 3D platformer. And we're going to go and expand a previous world and see how much of a difference it makes. Because I played the world in the smaller version, so let's see if playing it in the bigger version is any help. We're just going to grab a page just so I think I'll have enough. It's a bit weird that Capital B himself is actually handing over the bloody pages for no discernible reason. But anyway, let's go. Get out of this stupid world. Well, might as well continue talking about other stuff like the overall presentation. It looks fine for the most part. Everything looks surprisingly shiny though, which is a little weird. I don't know why everything has this weird shiny thing on top of it. The overall looks of the worlds, as I said though, they're overly big and overly empty because of it. And it seems unnecessary. Like, if you've played Banjo-Kazooie before, think of Treasure Trove Cove. Think of that. Oh, hey, I can go and get a move and move on to World 5 now, but I probably don't have the pages to do it. I'm gonna go back to a previous world. We're gonna, Oh, it's actually back this way, isn't it? Think of Treasure Trove Cove. That level felt big, but then think of it in its real world terms, and it's actually really small. You never spend too far away from something you can collect, or something that you can do, or what have you. And this game, its level designs are just ridiculously large for no discernible reason. And I think that might have been the reason why they didn't do much in the way of, like, actual worlds. You know, they've only got 5 worlds in this game, and you just saw World 4, which is surprisingly one of the worst worlds I've actually played in this game, if not the worst, just because it's so dreadfully big with nothing to do in it. And it's just weird. Like, the game doesn't need to be this big. You could have Treasure Trove Cove-sized levels in this game and it'd be fine, but for whatever reason, they decided to go for bigger is better, except in the case where it isn't, because they don't have that many collectibles to give you. Shrug? And it just kind of leads into a complaint about the performance as well. I mean, like, we've already seen the problems with the load times, right? But there is also a weird hitching that goes on with this game. It's random, and I'm not entirely sure what causes it, but it seemingly just happens out of nowhere, and the game will just stop for half a second. I think it's already happened once or twice in this video, but it just goes... It just stops for just a tiny bit of time. Not much, but a tiny bit of time. And I'm not sure why. They've had plenty of time to work on this port, but it still didn't turn out particularly great. I don't even know what this hub world is supposed to be. At least Gruntilda's lair looked like Gruntilda's lair. This doesn't look like much of anything. Like, it's supposed to be in the inside of, like, a industrial complex or something like that, but it doesn't even look like that. It just looks like generic video game world 101. It's just odd, but anyway. Here's the entrance to the second world, which isn't too far away from the first. And if we hop on this, hopefully I've got the pages to expand the world. Yep. I have exactly the amount of pages I need, which is nice. So, we're going to make this world nice and big, and we get a little preview as we walk in of the world as we go about. Let me try that again. We get a little bit of a preview of everything new that's added once the world's expanded. Once the load screen happens. Alright, so here we are in the expanded Blue Glaze Glacier, and... Huh. Wow, did I really spend 5 pages just to unlock a few extra areas? Seriously? Like, that just seems... That just seems a bit small, but... Never mind. So, let's talk about the soundtrack. Right, I'm gonna have to do this the hard way, aren't I? Let's talk about the soundtrack. Soundtrack's composed by Grant Kirkhope, or at least most of it is, and it definitely feels like him. That man's a genius. I cannot, under almost any circumstance, put any failure... That's the tonic lady, by the way. I cannot, under, like, any circumstance whatsoever, say that Grant Kirkhope music is bad. I've never been able to say that about any game he's ever worked on. But, with that said... It feels about as uninspired as the rest of the game does, whether it be the level design or the challenges you have to do, or just the writing, or... Oh dear. Yeah, this hurts. Doesn't hurt me if I'm rolling, funnily enough. Oh, no, apparently it does. Right. So now I'm warm for a few seconds, which means I can go and light up the next torch and yada 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 if I don't fall in the water first. There we go. Right. Let's do this again. Try not to slip on the ice. There we go. But yeah, the music is good, and it's not a problem to listen to, it's just... I mean, you combine it with how uncreative these levels feel to begin with, and they really don't do much for me, I gotta say. And it's a bit weird to say that about a Grant Kirkhope song. Like, the man's a genius, as I said before. Like, I still have the end credits to Perfect Dark in my listen to this MP3 list to this day, but... something feels off, and I don't know what. Yay, I get the pagey. I was actually looking forward to this back when they originally announced it. It is the most funded project on Kickstarter, after all. And yet, I'm disappointed in pretty much every way. This was meant to be a Banjo-Kazooie sequel. It was meant to be everything that made those games great, but it seems like they've taken a step back in almost every way imaginable. Which is super weird, because you're literally working with two games that came out 15 years ago. So, you would think... you'd think that they would have an idea of what they were doing at this point. And if not, they would literally just be like, you know, let's go down... let's play Banjo-Kazooie until we can't see anymore. You would think they would do that. What do I have to do here? Oh, I have to talk to the ice key, apparently. A little odd, but okay, I'll roll with it. Also, apparently I'm going to drown mid-cutscene. Right, let's make sure that doesn't happen, shall we? Bit weird that I can drown mid-cutscene, but whatever. You'd think they would literally just play Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie until their eyes bleed, until they knew those games inside out, then try and recreate them almost as fervently as possible, I think the word would be. And yet, they decided not to do that. Okay, why did the water level go down? Oh, it's going back up, is it? Right. Is it... can I go inside this door? No, apparently these aren't doors. Right, what's up top here, then? A switch! Awesome. Alright, it's these dudes. They're sonar dudes. You hit them with your sonar blast on your X button and it makes invisible platforms appear. If I can aim this damn thing, there we go. I think that's all of them? Yeah, there we go. So, overall, I just find Yooka-Laylee to be, despite being inspired by two of the greatest 3D platformers of all time, only outranked by the Mario games, I find it to be a sort of Not even sort of. I find it to be a surprisingly dull and uninteresting track. Which is really, really fucking weird. Like, how does that even happen? It's just not that fun. It's not that... Get grenade eggs here. Just use them as much as possible before they run out, because you only get a few seconds with all of them. Alright. You can see those ones there. What's this for? David Sim fitting I assume that's a Kickstarter reward of some kind. Alright, do I have to beat these dudes? I assume I do. Eat grenade eggs. The platforming is uninteresting, the levels are uninteresting, the everything about this game somehow manages to be uninteresting. I don't know how they managed to pull that off. Like, how do you make a Banjo-Kazooie inspired game and then somehow end up with a thoroughly uninteresting and not particularly enjoyable game? I mean, it works, at the very least. I mean, you've got all the basic things going on here, but all the little things they did that make this game so uninteresting is just so odd. Just checking to see if there isn't any invisible ones that I can't see. I assume not. They wouldn't go that far, surely. The question is, where do I go from here? Like, there doesn't seem to be a way forward. Like, is it in here? No? It's weird, because the game kind of sets up this rule early on that if there's a big black hole in a wall, it's probably a door, but for some reason all these aren't? That one is. Oh, whatever. Giant pair of eyes. There's a problem with gas, which means no more bubbles. Let's try not to die. Hang on. Maybe if I go into old mode here. No, that didn't help. Okay, I'm not entirely sure what you're supposed to do here. Something I'm missing? Maybe I have to bounce my way. Nope, I don't think I'm supposed to be able to stand on that. No, I don't think I can go higher than that either. What does it want me to... Oh, hang on. So if I go like this, maybe? Something I can't see? No. I can't see anything down here. This is a weird puzzle. Hang on, maybe if I go back, get the grenade eggs, come back and cause a explosion of some kind. Roll to make it a little faster. So do I still have the grenade eggs? I do, so... Apparently it wasn't... Fire a bunch of bubbles at him and hope for the best. Maybe I have to fire them down there or that thing. Somebody's probably already figured this out, knowing my luck. Out of the way. there? No. Maybe I have to go do something else in the world and come back. Maybe that's why that pipe is there. Although the question is, can I even get out of here without having to backtrack all the way? We're about at the 45-minute mark anyway, so you kind of see what's going on here. Maybe I should go and try and find Rextro's arcade and play one of those weird little mini games. Because I do have one of the tokens available, but I mean, this is basically it. More or less. Uninteresting platforming challenges and uninteresting levels with just surprisingly dull gameplay. Something I never thought I'd hope to say, but it's not even like I hope to say it. But alright, let's go try find Rextro's arcade. Hopefully it won't restrict me into using, like, another world's token. Because I've only found one of them so far. The bastards are hard to find. That's why I equipped the thing that gave me, That's why I equipped the thing that let me hear things if I got too close to them. Let's hope I can get up here without... No, I guess I have to go get the transformation. Hopefully that's not too far away. I know it's around here somewhere. Question is where. There it is. Right, so I have actually got the transformation in this level already. Let's transform. So yeah, I'm a snowplow. There are piles of snow that you can take apart just by driving into them. At least it's somewhat original, but I gotta admit, I was way more amused by the, damn washing machine in Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. What's in here? Pirate hat. Oh, that was a snowplow. Oh yeah, you are the one-eyed pirate. Shivery Timbers. That's an odd name. Oh, I'm guessing I don't get pages for these snowmen until I find all of their hats. Which is surprisingly annoying, wouldn't you believe? Rextro's arcade, Rextro's arcade. Where would he be hidden in this level? Maybe... I haven't seen him, like, any level that I haven't expanded yet, so I assume he's in the expanded area somewhere? But I don't know how you get over there without being in the snowplow. You know what, on second thought, let's just save and quit. Because we can just go to the single-player Rextro Arcade on the main menu. Makes it way easier on me. Strangely enough, they give you full-on access to every arcade game from the very beginning, which I guess is nice for pick up and play multiplayer when you just get the game, but that doesn't really seem to be the point. Oh, whatever. We'll play Gauntlet. What was that game called? That sounds like a weird game, but alright. Alright, let's give this a shot. So yeah, just... overall... Can't believe I missed that one on the left there. I just didn't see him. But yeah. Overall, Yooka-Laylee is a surprisingly dull 3D platformer. And for the games that it was trying to... for the games it was trying to recreate, for the feeling it was supposed to try and give you, it just turned out to be a surprisingly dull and uninteresting game. It's not got a very interesting theme. The characters aren't particularly great. The platforming is serviceable, but nothing particularly excellent. The level designs are too big and too dull. The game's performance isn't 100%, it's like 95%. And I've been playing it for 3 hours, and well, actually, it's close to 4 now. I've been playing it for 4 hours, and I've been bored for 3 of them. So, for someone who could easily pick up Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie today and play through them all in a couple of days, this is a huge disappointment. And it seems that this game is very... what's the word? This game is very... very controversial, we'll put it that way. There's been a fair bit of controversy around it to begin with, but, that was honestly really dull. That was surprisingly boring. There was a bit of controversy around it. This definitely does appear to be a love it or hate it game based on the reviews and stuff and the community opinion. Not to mention all that shit with JonTron, which was entirely unnecessary. I am on the... if I had to pick between love it or hate it, I'd definitely go on the hate it side, more or less. But I don't hate it, I just think it's really boring, and I wish it was a lot better than it actually was. So there you go. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.